Anyway, so let's get into it. Did you know that maintaining hormonal balance is essential to good health and optimizing vitality? Our hormones are chemical messengers of our endocrine system, and they play a crucial role in regulating several bodily functions. They even affect our emotions and mental outlook. Most people do not realize that. I'm going to show you one of the easiest ways to maintain hormonal balance through diet. So let's jump right in and let's talk about hormone healthy foods to regain that control and that balance. But before we get started, a little bit about me. I am Phyllis Thompson, a certified nutritionist and personal trainer, and I am passionate about nutrition and its effect on our hormones because there's so much that is within our control, but no one is telling us, especially not our doctors. Our doctors are not going to give us preventative options. Most of them don't anyway, because then they can't prescribe expensive hormone therapies. Then they can't prescribe expensive medications that they get kickbacks for. So this presentation is actually not going to take 40 minutes. I'm going to try to cut it short for you. So please, this isn't Zoom, so you don't have to mute yourself. But if you have any questions, you can drop them in the comments, and I will come back to them after the presentation. So first, let's talk about some symptoms of hormonal imbalance. First, we have our sex hormones. First of all, the primary female sex hormones are estrogen and progesterone. Many of you probably know what those are, as most of us that are watching this are going to be over 40, so we know what those are. We know that the estrogen and progesterone they go through cycles in our body every month. Those are the things that affect our mood and our cycles. When they're not in balance, they can cause a disturbance in the normal release of sex hormones and cause several problems, from PMS to irregularity in periods, mood swings, skin breakouts, and all those things that you see, like weight gain, bloating, swelling of the breasts, and a low libido. I always pause when I say that because I don't know how people are going to respond to that. But listen, I am not the kind of woman that can suffer from a low libido. I am sorry. I am not about that life. So thank God I have not had to deal with that. One of the main struggles that I had when I started dealing with perimenopause was sleep. That was my telltale sign that I was having trouble and that my hormones were out of balance. So we also have the stress hormones. In today's stressful world, our bodies sometimes stay in a constant state of fight or flight mode, which puts unnecessary stress and strain on our entire body. If your stress hormones are imbalanced, you may experience any of the following: adrenal fatigue, which represents itself as muscle weakness, salt cravings, low blood pressure, hypoglycemia, fatigue, anxiety, inability to sleep. I just talked about that one. And panic attacks. Then we have our thyroid hormones. Disturbances in thyroid hormone levels can cause multiple symptoms, which may vary depending on whether your thyroid is overactive or underactive. Excuse me. So overactive symptoms, which is hyperthyroidism, presents itself with rapid weight loss, loose stools, heart palpitations, sweating, and intolerance to heat. And on the other side of the spectrum, we have underactive symptoms like hypothyroidism. I was a biology major in college, and when I was in college, I had to remember that the O meant zero or none, or that was what I used to remember the differences between the two. So just a little trick if you want to remember the differences. So hypothyroidism presents itself with weight gain, right? Constipation, hair loss, fatigue, and intolerance to cold. So you're wondering probably at this point, well, what foods can I eat? So there are a number of them that can help tremendously. Give me 1 second. I have lost my little paper. There we go. I have my notes. I tend to get off track because I like to talk. So now that you know how troubling an imbalance of hormones can be, you must make a special effort to eat foods which can help regain that hormonal balance. This is going to be the easiest and most effective, cost-effective way to attack your hormonal imbalance without going to see your doctor. So in my program, I talk about the different tests you need to ask for, but the moment you start to feel some of these symptoms, I do recommend going and having getting the hormonal workup done so you can see where your levels are. But one of the things I suggest, and most nutritionists and hormone nutritionists suggest, is attacking it with your nutrition and lifestyle changes, because hormone therapies can present other issues, other side effects. So hormone nourishing foods are avocado, Brazil nuts, broccoli, flax seeds, seafood, sea vegetables, eggs, pomegranate, spinach, kale, and chard. So I'm going to give you just a brief tidbit about a couple of these and how they can help you. So avocado is super healthy. It's actually a fruit, if you don't know that. But it has sufficient beta-sitosterol that can positively affect the cholesterol levels in the blood. So that's a really good one to have. Avocados can also help maintain a level of cortisol, which is that stress hormone. You know, for any of us that battle weight due to our hormones or any other of those issues, avocado can help a lot because we tend to be stressed, and the more stressed you are, the cortisol feeds on the adipose tissue in your belly, which is basically the scientific name for fat cells, and it makes it harder to lose belly fat. So a lot of us are dealing with weight gain over 40 and having a hard time losing it, not for lack of trying, right? You could be eating right, you could be doing all the exercises and all those things, but if you don't know the different variables of things to try and to take out of your diet, then you could just be spinning your wheels. So knowing what to do so that your weight loss can actually start to be more effective is huge in this area, because like I said, for a lot of us, it's not for lack of trying. It's not like we're not giving it an all-out effort. It's our hormones that are holding us back. So now Brazil nuts. Brazil nuts are densely loaded with selenium. There's also selenium in eggs, which is why I love eggs, which serves as an antioxidant in the body. Selenium is an essential mineral that particularly is crucial for regulating your thyroid function. So if you deal with thyroid issues, that is something I would talk to your doctor about adding in. Broccoli is a very healthy vegetable rich in calcium. So I'm going to pause right here and talk about milk. This is one of my soapbox issues. Cow's milk is so inflammatory and one of the worst things that we can consume over the age of 40. I mean, other ages, if you're younger, first of all, they allow so much mucus in cow's milk, but we're not going to get into that. You can get your calcium from leafy green and other green vegetables. That's why I bring that point up. And guess what? Calcium helps prevent PMS. And broccoli is one of those vegetables that is rich in calcium. And it's also known to help maintain healthy estrogen levels in the body. Okay, hello, we're all for that. So as we know, as I've been talking about hormone balance, like we know that there's supposed to be certain levels of all things in the body, right? That is what creates the state of homeostasis, right? Where the body is running smoothly as it should be, right? But when things like estrogen and progesterone are out of balance, it throws everything off. And there are things out there called xenoestrogens, which act like estrogen but are not, and they attach to the estrogen receptors in your body, and then you become estrogen dominant, and that is a whole other host of issues. So broccoli is very important to add in. Flax seeds, a major supplier of phytoestrogens, including lignans, which work to prevent certain types of cancers. Flax seeds are also known for balancing, we just talked about that, balancing progesterone and the estrogen ratio. Like those two have to be in balance or things are just going to be out of whack, right? Iodine-rich foods. You might already know that not all salts used in cooking contain iodine, especially since the sea salts came on the market and they became a huge thing. Most of them don't contain iodine. You need to get iodine-rich foods. It is important for the production of thyroid hormones. Leafy greens. Any of us on a health and fitness journey, we already know the importance of leafy greens and how essential they are for our health and for getting nice, bulky, low-calorie foods, but nutrient-dense foods in our bodies, right? But they do other things for our hormones. Vegetables like spinach, and kale. So I'm going to pause here for a second. Spinach and kale tend to be at the top of the list of the worst offenders for pesticides, right? They get sprayed so heavy. Pesticides are an endocrine disruptor, so they will disrupt your hormones. So I always tell people, while buying organic is not budget friendly for a lot of people, if you are going to, so first, the Environmental Working Group. Let me take a step back real quick. The Environmental Working Group, which is the EWG.org, they have a list every year that they put out of the top 12. It's called the Dirty Dozen, worst offenders on the pesticide list. Spinach is always at the top. So if you can ever buy it organic, do so. Or shop at your local farmers market. I am a huge fan of Sprouts. I love local farmers markets. There in the South, there is a grocery store called Kroger, and I know it's called King Soopers on the West. It's the same company. They will do a manager markdown when vegetables or anything gets close to expiration, and they'll mark down their organic spinach. So if you ever see it marked down or on sale, I would always, whenever you can, buy spinach organic. There are certain fruits and vegetables that are completely unnecessary to buy organic. For example, anything with a thick skin. So like bananas or navel oranges. Those aren't necessary to buy organic because their skin is so thick. But anyway, if and when you can buy organic, especially leafy green vegetables, do so. Spinach is legit on that list every year. It's called the Dirty Dozen. And they also give you a list of the Clean 15. And those are the 15 fruits and vegetables that have been sprayed the least. Pesticides are terrible for your hormones. Next is pomegranates. Pomegranates are amazing. They're only in season in the fall. You may find them in grocery stores at other times, but they're going to be their sweetest in the fall. Pomegranates is an excellent source of antioxidants. We all pretty much know that. But it can also hinder the excessive production of estrogen and help maintain the balance. So I just talked about how you can become estrogen dominant because there's things in our environment, in our homes, ladies. I don't know about other cultures. I know that women of color, a lot of us grew up using bleach to clean with. That is one of the most toxic things to be in your home, to be wiping your surfaces with. So there are a lot of things that cause us to be estrogen dominant, not just in our foods or in our homes or in things we put in our hair, things we put on our skin. So those are things to think about. Eating pomegranates can hinder the production of estradiol, which is another form of estrogen, and lower the chances of some cancers. Now, and pomegranate can also help with PMS, okay? So while during these times where pomegranates are not in season, it would be a good time to get like the pomegranate extract or the pomegranate juice. Pomegranate juice, depending on who makes it, it may have some fillers or added sugars. So beware of the added sugars, and we'll talk about that in a moment. So now you know about the foods to add to your nutrition, right? Chard is another really good one. Oh, I skipped seafood and eggs. So, and sea vegetables. So sea vegetables are super, super easy to get in, right? Because you can buy those. I know you guys have seen the dried seaweed. I don't know what I was going to say, sea salad. The dried seaweed in the grocery stores and the flavored packets. Those are so easy to add to your nutrition because all you have to do is grab a couple of slices of that and put it into your mouth and eat that, right? Eggs is a super easy one. So what I do, because eggs can have a lot of cholesterol in them, is I will do, because I love eggs, I will do 2 whole eggs and then I will add in egg whites as a filler. because I don't want to get the extra fat from the yolks, because that's where the majority of the fat is. And chard is another good one. Is seafood. Most people love seafood. It's really easy to get. You want to make sure you are being careful with the mercury heavy fish and things like that. Now, what foods do you need to avoid? Those are pretty easy. They're the same ones that you should avoid for weight gain, right? If you want to be healthy and live for longevity and to lose weight, you want to cut down on alcohol. Alcohol will spike hot flashes. Sugar, like corn syrup, white sugar, brown sugar, they're also known for worsening the hormones and increasing the chances of insulin resistance. Now, if you have been on a health and fitness journey or weight loss journey, and I know you've heard about insulin resistance, especially those of us that are over a certain age, we've heard of insulin resistance. Well, sugar makes that worse, and it makes the chances of you developing insulin resistance even more. So avoiding sugar helps to maintain a hormonal balance, and it can also help in losing weight. We already know that, right? And there is a difference. Like, there are some trainers that believe that there is not a difference between fruit sugars and alcohol sugars. That is absolutely not true. Your body knows the difference because natural sugars, like certain fruit sugars, or even like raw honey versus a tablespoon of white sugar, they're going to have different enzymes and things in them that your body is equipped and designed to break down and utilize. Whereas table sugar, processed sugar, and all those other, the corn syrup sugar, your body is not designed to break those things down. So it is going to it's going to process it differently. And alcohol is processed differently. Alcohol is processed like sugar. These things spike your hot flashes. Caffeinated drinks can disrupt your sleep if you're having caffeine after 3, and they can also spike your hot flashes. So your hormone health is really in your hands. You are responsible for your food choices. And I firmly believe that when we're armed with knowledge about why we're choosing the foods we're choosing, it comes from a place of empowerment versus a place of deprivation, right? Because when you feel like, oh, I can't have this because I'm trying to lose weight, instead of, I can have that if I want to, but I know what it's going to do to me hormonally. I know how it's going to make me feel, and I'm choosing not to have it. That feels different, right? Like, if you say the two, they both feel different. And making a choice from a place of education and knowledge is empowering, and it doesn't evoke emotions of deprivation. The most effective way to control your endocrine health, which controls your hormones, is by controlling your nutrition, right? That is your first line of defense, is controlling your nutrition, and then controlling your environment, the things that are in it, the things that are on your skin, in your hair. But the easiest place to start is with what you eat. What you eat and what you avoid really, really matters. Try including all of the foods mentioned above. But what I would do, let me go back to that slide. What I would do, right, is I would go to this, or write these down if you can, and see which ones you already have in your daily, weekly nutrition that's in the rotation, and cross those off because you're already getting them. And then pick something that you are not getting on a regular basis and add it in this week. And then wait 2 weeks in between adding in something different, because you want to see how your body responds to it. You want to see how your system responds. And you want to keep note of that. I recommend like getting a journal and keeping note of anything that you add in, how it affects your mood, your bloat, your symptoms, all the things, right? Because if it affects your body negatively, you don't want to keep that around. And if you add in too many things at once, you won't know which one your body is not responding well to. So that's the way I recommend doing it. And if there are things like the sugar and caffeine and alcohol, so for me, I don't know if any of you know me other than the group creator. I have a sobriety story. I am over 7 years sober. So alcohol is just something I took out of my nutrition. Well, not nutrition. There is zero. Well, if it's red wine, that's a different thing. But anyway, there is no alcohol in my diet anymore. And I can remember like the really bad anxiety. I remember driving my kids. It was raining, and I wasn't drinking that day, but the alcohol still in my system or still affecting my system from the day before. I was having the worst anxiety, and it was raining and it was getting worse. And I had to remind myself, because, I'm a woman of science, so I know scientifically that I'm not dying. It's just a panic attack. It's just anxiety. So I had to legit repeat to myself, this is just your body's, you have too much adrenaline going through your system right now. This is your body's response to it. You are not dying. And eventually it went away. But alcohol spikes those kind of things like panic attacks and anxiety. The same for caffeine and sugar. One of my clients, she had the worst anxiety. And I put her on the nutrition plan, and she legit, like in 5 days, and she had been suffering with like debilitating anxiety for years. Within 5 days, she said, I don't wake up riddled with anxiety anymore. And outside of the weight she lost, she was just so happy to not have that debilitating anxiety anymore. These things cause it. Caffeinated drinks, sugar, alcohol, these things are so disrupting. They can be worse than not getting enough sleep, but that's a whole different topic. So as I was saying, your health is in your hand. You are 100% in control of it. Try one food at a time. Give it a couple of weeks in between, and see how your body responds before you add in another one. Things like alcohol and caffeinated drinks. Caffeinated drinks can be really difficult to come off of because your body gets addicted to it. Caffeine is addictive. And if you've ever tried to come off of a lot of caffeine before, I'm certain you know this. So what I would do is take one caffeinated drink a day per week away before you try to take anything more away, because the withdrawal of caffeine can be really rough. It'll cause headaches, irritability, so that's not nice. Nobody enjoys that. Alcohol may not be so difficult to take away. If you're a nightly drinker and you suffer with hot flashes, I would really start to eliminate that. There's nothing wrong with having a drink a couple of times a month, but if it's a regular part of your routine and it's making you have hot flashes or even night sweats, they can cause night sweats, then it's really time to evaluate if that's something. Do you want to feel like that? That's what I mean by making choices like this comes from a place of empowerment when you know what it does to you and you're making the decision because you want to feel better and enjoy life more. Sugar can be difficult to come off of because it is addictive, just like caffeine. There's actually a study that I refer to often about how sugar is more addictive than cocaine. They actually there's a scientific study where they gave lab mice sugar and cocaine, and the mice went back for the sugar. It is more addictive than a narcotic, and the more you put into your body, the more you want. So one of the best ways to start coming off of that is to substitute with more fresh fruit in season. Try to go in season. Try to get it from like a local farmer's market, because it's going to be sweeter, and that's going to help you come off the sugar. I like to put lemon and cucumber slices in my water, because for some reason it naturally sweetens the water, and that will help me as well. They also have those Mio, I don't know what they're called. They're like, you add them to water. Some people can use those to start coming off of sugar, because it is a process. It takes time, and it's not something you can do overnight. Otherwise, you'll go spiraling back headfirst into a vat of ice cream because you are so tired of being miserable. Coming off of sugar can actually cause depression, because sugar affects the dopamine, the pleasure sensors of the brain. So coming off of that can be rough. So just start one thing at a time. Notice how your body responds. Keep track of that. Put it in a journal, and then make a decision from there moving forward on how you want to what you want to add in next or how you want to proceed. I thank you so much for watching. I am going to drop a 3-day hormone diet plan in here for you all so that you can try that, see how you like it, see how it makes you feel. There's some information in there about the different changes in nutrition and how it can affect your hormones. There's also some information in there about the things we put on our skin and in our hair. So if you have any questions at all about anything, just let me know.